Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjeet Kaur. I am Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. I am author of 10 books and 58 research papers. This is my privilege that I am here with you to discuss on negotiation theories. So friends, negotiation theories has been discussed in the past as well, and now we are going to talk about foundation of negotiation theories. What are the foundation upon which these negotiation theories are based? So, foundation of negotiation theory, there are four major foundations which I am going to discuss. These four are: number one, decision analysis; number two, behavioral decision making; number three, game theory; and number four is negotiation analysis. So, one by one we are going to discuss all these four foundations. Let's begin with decision analysis. As the name suggests, the decision analysis means how decisions are being made in negotiation. That is the foundation we are going to discuss. So, decision analysis is a methodology typically used in assessing alternative course of action. Decision analysis helps in identifying and assessing all aspects of a decision and taking actions based on decisions that produce the most favorable outcome. In decision analysis, models are used to evaluate the favorability of various outcomes. So, we shall be discussing decision analysis initially. So, this is a methodology, a method which is used typically by any negotiator to assess what are the alternates, before I reach to a zone of agreement, ZOPA, right. So, what are the alternative courses of action? This is one, that I will get this, and if they propose me this, I am going to counter it with this. If they propose it this, I may end up getting this. So, it's kind of finding out alternatives. So, before I decide that what should I be proposing, we are going to decide by terms of analyzing the alternatives, right. So, decision analysis is basically identifying and then assessing all aspects of a decision. What will happen if this has been proposed and I give a counter argument for this? What if I accept this? What if I deny this? So, what if I agree in at this point of price, at this point of quality, at this point of credit terms, at this point of delivery dates, etc., etc. So, analyzing all aspects of the decision which is going to be taken, and that also to understand which particular action will decide a favorable outcome out of the negotiation. So, analyzing even that part. And decision analysis models are used basically to assess, to evaluate which outcome will be most favorable for me, which option would be the second best option or second best favorable for me, etc., etc. So, this is how decision analysis is used as a basis for, as a foundation for negotiation theory. Further, decision analysis includes many methods and tools for identifying, clearly representing and formally assessing important aspects of a decision, for recommending a particular course of action by applying the maximum expected utility outcome to a well-formed representation of a decision. So, decision analysis, which is a foundation for negotiation theory, it works as a tool. And a tool which helps us, number one, to identify, number two, to clearly represent, and then formally assessing all important aspects of the decision. All important aspects could be my long-term relationship with the supplier or buyer or whomsoever I am negotiating with. It may assess even the political affect or impression or the focus of that area where I am operating. What will be the outcome on that focus even? So, you are trying to review all aspects of the decision. If I take this decision, what is the expected effect of that decision. Everything is been considered in advance, right? So maximum expected utility outcome is being reviewed, is being assessed in advance, right? So which represent the part of the decision only. Now this second aspect was behavioral decision. After decision analysis has been carried, the second is behavioral decision making. The behavioral approach highlights human tendencies, emotions and skills. It emphasizes the role played by arts of persuasion, attitudes, trust, perception, misperception, individual motivations and personality in negotiated outcomes. And further, the other researchers from the behavioral schools have emphasized factors such as relationships, culture, norms, skill, attitude, expectations and trust, and degree of interest in interpersonal relationship and degree of interest in outcomes, which does matter here. So this is what we are going to discuss now in detail, the behavioral decision making. So this behavioral approach certainly comes from the psychology part of the area or the discipline, right? And as the name suggests, so here the highlight is, the focus is to study, to understand the tendencies, that person behaves like this. The tendency of this company is to turn down the table towards the end, or to open the last card with a big bang. So this is a behavioral aspect. So we approach towards the negotiation by highlighting on human tendencies, on the emotions and the skills one carries, the negotiator especially carries. So here we are unlike logical decision making, unlike using a model, objectively reviewing the decision making process as was the first foundation. Here we are more focused about the subjective part, the human part, the tendencies, the emotions, the skills under this aspect of negotiation theory foundation. And here we are emphasizing the role played by the arts of persuasion. The negotiators, how good or bad they are in pursuing, what kind of attitude, what kind of trust component, the perception or the misperception, what is the individual's motivation level, the negotiator's motivation level, how motivated he or she is to close the deal in the favor of the company or in favor of the team he is talking on the behalf of the team, right? So, and the personality, what kind of personality is involved here in negotiation. So, here is a more focus on these aspects, the attitude, persuasion, and the one negotiator would like to know the art of persuasion of the other party, the attitude other person has, the trust one can rely on him or her, the perception, etc., etc. So, these are the aspects which are related to the behavioral decision making. One decision is, a normal decision making is completely objective, completely based on models, whereas here we are reviewing many more aspects. Somebody committed me that he will deliver the product by this, but now you are actually assessing what was his attitude when he was committing this. Can you trust him about the delivery date? Because he may agree verbally, he may not have put this, or will this aspect of delivery date be part of the contract as well, or he just saying verbally, right? So now you are reviewing as a negotiator after a normal decision making process, which is any rational person will take. Here you are pursuing the behavioral aspect of the negotiators, right? And also here the behavioral school, which certainly comes from the psychology background or human aspect of the negotiation, it is emphasizing on relationship. What if the negotiator believes that it's a part of my relationship management with the supplier, with the buyer, with the negotiator, I want to have long term relationship. Okay, this time I may forego my interest. So here the focus is different. So culture, what kind of background, cultural background the negotiators are from, what norms do they follow, skill and attitude and expectations. So all those aspects are behavioral aspects. It's not so simple. So this is actually the most tedious part, most complex part of the decision making, because behavior plays a role here, right? So and also, how much is the motivation level of negotiators? What are the interpersonal relationship between the negotiators? If we know that the negotiator, let's say somebody representing the top management is negotiating with the union, the leader of the labor union. So what kind of chemistry both of them have, or what kind of experience the both of them have in the past, will decide the outcome of current negotiation as well, right? So the degree of interest in interpersonal relationship, the degree of interest in the outcomes, how serious the both of them are, both the negotiators are, both the parties are, even that will decide. So this is the fundamental or the foundation which is focusing on the behavior part of the negotiation or decision making. So we call it as behavioral decision making. Coming to the third foundation of negotiation theory is game theory. So game theory is a scientific modeling of interactions. However, it can help traditional negotiation methodologies to achieve preferable outcomes. Structured rule-based negotiations can increase results and savings notably for all parties involved. Game theory based negotiations can increase the competitive dynamics and transparency. So I will describe this game theory. So it's a scientific modeling of interaction. So game theory believes that negotiations are like a game, that how we interact with other party, the negotiator. This has been modeled, this has been discussed, and there are many compositions, there are many possibilities that I can interact this way or this way. I can interact straight and try to save interest of each other. I may agree on this, I may not. Right? It's like a game that you observe the move of the other and then you decide your move. You interact with the other party based on the move he or she had, and so game is playing and then counter plays are there, the counter attacks are there. So it can actually help traditional negotiation methodologies to achieve any outcome which is preferable outcome, of course. So this is a structured way, a rule based negotiation, and it increases the result. So it increases the results for both the parties involved, because every game has certain rules. This is, if we take life as a rule, we believe that life has certain rules, and so is this game theory believes that there are certain rules that both the parties will be following or are following. And since it is a game, it's a rule based negotiation, it is going to save interest of both the parties. And this game theory based negotiation is actually expected to increase the competitive dynamics of and transparency, because both are negotiating openly with each other. So the competitive edge, the dynamics are coming up. It's increasing the competitive dynamics between two negotiators, and it's also increasing the transparency between the two, right? So game theory, the crux of game theory is making rational decisions, which in turn is backed by significant computing power and historical data, right? So here the crux is of this theory, that decision making is always rational based on the background data, the historical information available, the computing power, how well one can compute about it or calculate about the losses and the benefit of each of the proposal the other party is putting up. So here what is playing role is the information, the data, and the computing power, how significantly this power is going to influence. So it's backed by the significant computing power both the parties have. So I am going to discuss this game theory with the help of one example. So the small case, so one of the best known games to treat negotiation is the prisoner's dilemma game, PD game. So we call it as PD game. So here A and B both are prisoners, and there are 4 possible outcomes. There's a possibility A and B who negotiate with each other, and both of them have committed some crime. Right, the story goes like this, and A and B, if you look at the table here, if they cooperate with each other, the both of them will get 2 years sentence, right? If they do not cooperate, if they defect, they both will get 4 years punishment. But if A agrees to cooperate with B, but B at the end defects, right? So A will get 5 years of punishment and B will go free because he will prove A guilty, and vice versa. If they both agree that and B defects, so A gets 5 years penalty, and if B defects, A defects, then B gets 5 years penalty. So what is this? This is called as prisoner dilemma game, right? So what is happening here? A and B, let me describe this. We call it as PD, prisoner's dilemma game, PD game. So here 2 prisoners have, 2 people who committed some crime, they have been arrested, they are in the prison, and now they have to face the hearing, they are facing the court, you may say, simple terms, right? Now A and B both have a discussion, they negotiated with each other, let's not accept the crime that we committed, because both know that one says that he has hit me, the B says he has hit me, A has hit me, A says B has. Now if they agree, that we will say nothing, it was just a play, we did not hit each other. So what will happen? The both will get only a small sentence of 2 years. So this is the condition when they cooperate with each other. So here what is happening? It's like a prisoner dilemma game. Now, and they both discuss, if we do not agree with each other, if we both blame each other of the guilty, of the crime. So what will happen? The judge will, we will hold both of us responsible, and both of us will get a total, imprisonment of 4 years. So extremely opposite to each other. Now, but the fact is, they may agree initially, right? And that, okay, we will cooperate with each other, and this way we will save 2 years. Otherwise, there is a likelihood that I will be imprisoned for 5 years, and the other person may have the same outcome. So now they decided to cooperate, but during the process, because it's a game, right? You are making during the process, let's say A and B agreed, and A assesses the B is somehow, his eye contact, his body language tells A that he is going to cheat, he is not going to cooperate, he is going to defect, right? He is going to blame A. Now A may be A has kind of read his face, B's face, and decided to defect. So this in the court, when they are actually appearing, A denies, so that he did not commit, but B has, and B accepts first, and A denies completely. Now what is happening in this game? A goes free, so 0 years punishment, and B goes 5 years imprisonment, and same thing could have happened vice versa, right? So B could have gone free and A could have gone for imprisonment. So this is what is happening. They are learning their actions during the game itself. So we call it as PD game. So if I go and describe it further, this game theory, in long-term interactions, the choice of parties to either cooperate or defect can depend majorly on the amount of trust that is established between the two parties. So as I was explaining, right, that A may believe that B is not trustworthy now anymore. He was trustworthy when they agreed upon to cooperate, but now he is doubtful about him. So what is happening? So the trust So amount of trust plays a very important role in game theory, so in negotiation. So as per the game theory, because this is also foundation of the negotiation theory, right? So here for the long term interaction, both the parties, either they cooperate or they defect. It will depend upon either they are going to cooperate or they are going to defect. It will depend upon the amount of trust they are establishing between the two, right? If there is a lack of trust, then certainly they will not cooperate with each other. Someone will cheat, someone will defect other sooner or later. So that's the another foundation of game theory. So what are the benefits of the game theory? So there are a couple of benefits of game theory. Number 1, better communication. Number 2, improved savings. Number 3, streamlined negotiations. And number 4 is strong supplier relationships. So how this game theory, which actually believes in the power of trust, which believes in this, playing negotiation as game, so it is basis, the benefit is that there is a better communication, because both parties have to understand each other's point of view and the point where they both agree to cooperate, right? So it really leads to it requires good communication. It cannot work without good communication. And there are improved savings, because both the parties they do communicate in detail, they know all the possible outcomes, and they both work in the best of the interest of each other. For example, in this A and B case of prisoners, what was happening? They both negotiated, they spoke well in detail, they established trust between each other, and if they really agreed and they follow, both of them have actually saved 2 years of imprisonment by defecting, by refusing that they committed the crime. They both end up getting only 2 years imprisonment. Otherwise, there was a possibility that they would have, one of them would have gone for 5 years, or both of them could have gone for 4 years each. So they really saved good long time, right? So this is improved saving. Another benefit is streamlined negotiation. Since the negotiations are going on in continuity, and they are going on in a well defined way, like a game, step by step, so the negotiation become very streamlined. That's the third benefit of the game theory. The last is the strong supplier relationship. This theory believes in the power of both, and both can negotiate. So even the supplier and the buyer, they both have a strong relationship as per this theory. So suppliers also get due advantage, due importance as per this theory, right? So now we come to the last foundation, negotiation analysis. So negotiation analysis considers how groups of rationally bright individuals or negotiators should and could make joint collaborative decisions. With its primary origin in decision analysis and game theory, negotiation analysis seeks to develop perspective theory. So this fourth point, negotiation analysis, is also taken as foundation of negotiation theory. So what does it consider? This considers that how the groups which are involved in negotiation are rationally bright, rational individuals, right, negotiators, and how they could make better decisions, collaborative decisions. So the whole analysis is about this. So this becomes the basis of the negotiation theory overall, that both the parties, that they evaluate, they consider that how can they make collaborative decisions better, right, which and how rational both of the parties can go further. And the primary origin of this particular negotiation analysis is the negotiation analysis foundation. The fundamental of this aspect comes from the perspective theory. What kind of perspectives the parties have, right? So this comes from the perspective theory. So these were the 4 foundations of negotiation analysis. Now I will talk about the last part of today's discussion, common barriers to negotiations. So what are the common barriers, hurdles which comes in the process of negotiation? That's what we are going to talk now for the last 2 minutes. Number 1, taking negotiations as confrontation. Number 2, targeting to win at all cost. Number 3, being very emotional. Number 4, no attitude or ability to understand the other person's perspective. And lastly, blaming the other person or the party. So let me just spend 2 minutes to discuss this. As I said, the first and foremost barrier is that we assume that we are confronting with the negotiator. You are not confronting with the other person. You are trying to save the interest of the company you are representing, and so is the other person. Even the other person is trying to safeguard the maximum interest of the concerned business, whomsoever he or she is representing, right? So we should assume this aspect of negotiation rather than of taking it as a confrontation. The moment we take it confrontation, it becomes a barrier. So do not take negotiation as confrontation, take it as a negotiation only, discussion only. And another barrier is that when we start believing, when we start thinking as a negotiator that we have to win at any cost, then it is a very negative thing. Then you are not collaborative, then you are not following the integrative approach, then you are very strict, you are just targeting win or lose. You may lose even, right, because you are targeting only to win. Okay, so this is the second barrier in negotiation. The third is that when you take negotiation as a personal matter, as you know, you are representing company and you are negotiating on the behalf of company, but you take it as your own respect if you lose certain part, your own ego. So you become emotional, and you know that becomes a barrier, a hurdle to the effective negotiation. The fourth point is to understand, not to understand different perspective, the personal perspective of the person who is sitting across the table. So if we have no attitude, no ability to understand the perspective which is represented by the other side, then we are bound to lose in the negotiation, or we are not going to conclude the negotiation. And the lastly is that when we start blaming the person or the party, work objectively, do focus on the points he or she is making, focus on the data, do not focus on individual or the person or negotiator involved. So stop blaming the negotiator. So if you take care of all these points and you follow an approach, integrative approach, you are going to be a very effective negotiator. With this, I would like to now wind up. Thank you very much.